Good day, everyone. My name is John Iggy, and I'm here to present to you some data insights I got from my last project. This project is powered by Amdari, a learning platform for data professionals to get their hands on projects varying from data analysis, data science, and data engineering to help them sharpen their skills and give them an edge in the tech space. The project I worked on was based on the energy market, and it is tagged Energy Market Resilience Metrics, analyzing vulnerabilities and preparing for disruptions. The case study that was used was Energix Enterprise, a leader in the energy sector that has over 2 decades of experience in electricity generation and distribution. Without further ado, let's dive into the presentation. Periodically in the energy market, there are fluctuations in energy demand and supply, and this is due to the energy's market volatility and evolving consumer behavior. This variation impacts the company's operation and profitability from time to time. There are also competition rising from other renewable energy providers, and this has intensified competition, affecting Energic's energy market share and their pricing strategies. Within the company, there are regulatory changes and environmental regulations that also have their impact in their company's operation, necessitating compliance measure that adds to the operational cost. They also have a problem with their aging infrastructure and technological limitation. And this also hinders operational efficiency, in which has called for an efficient risk management and the company's ability to adapt to market dynamics. There are four data sets that were used in this project, and they are historical energy data, market data, infrastructure maintenance records, and regulatory and compliance data. These data sets were cleaned and explored using Python to derive plots and insights on the problem Energix Enterprise is facing and the recommendations from a data analyst on how to tackle these vulnerabilities and prepare them for disruptions. The following slides are statistical plots generated from the exploratory data analysis phase of this project. We'll also be looking at insights that each of these plots narrates, and we'll be looking at the insights generally. For the first plot, we are looking at the categorical columns present in all the data sets used in this project, and they are here represented by subplots of bar charts. For the first subplot, we have the location or region column in the historical energy data set, where region C takes the highest value count. We have the energy source column from the historical energy data set, where the fossil fuel energy source takes the highest count. We also have for the infrastructure status column from the infrastructure and maintenance records data set, where the core maintenance status category takes the highest count. We have the maintenance activity column, where the routine maintenance takes the highest count. And for the technological limitation column, where the high technology limitation category takes the highest count. For the market data, we have the competitors data, where the low category takes the highest count. For the market trend column in the market data set, we have the upward market trend taking the highest count. For the regulatory changes in the regulatory data sets, we have the new regulations taking the highest count, and the compliance status column from the regulatory data set, we have the non-compliant category taking the highest count. These categorical columns depicts the descriptive part of the data sets used in this project. And as known factors to our analysis, they have been made measurable by getting the sum of the occurrences of the categories in these columns and putting them on a bar chart to show the impact of each of these categories on the operations of Energix Enterprise and the cost incurred by Energix Enterprise. The next plot we are looking at are the line graphs of the quarterly aggregate of Energix energy production levels, their consumers' consumption levels, and the energy market demand levels over time. And what we mean by over time is the period of the case study that Energix Enterprise underwent. And this was from January 2012 to September 2014. With the line graph we are looking at here, it shows that Energix Enterprise within the period of this case study never met the market demand with their production supplies or the production level. And also it also made their consumers to consume most, even not all their units of supply per time, which makes them not have reserve for the next batch of supply. The 2 points that are being highlighted here are the lowest lowest points of the energy market level, which is called the trough, and the highest point of energy's enterprise production level, which is called the peak. And the difference between them, the gap we can see between them, shows numerically and graphically the number of units of energy source Energix Enterprise has to produce in order for them to meet up with the least amount of demanded units of energy sources in order to meet up with the demands of the market. So the next plus we are looking at is the quarterly aggregate of the market price and Energix energy price over time. From the graph we are looking at here, we can see that Energix Enterprise has a lower price relative to the average market price of the energy market. And this is one of the factors that makes consumers to come to Energix Enterprise to buy almost all their supplies per time. For the next plot, we are looking at a likelihood matrix where it combines two factors or two variables together, which is the infrastructure status factor or variable and the technological limitation variable. If we can remember from our previous plots, these two variables are categorical columns. And here we are looking at a likelihood matrix or heat map that shows us the level of impact when these two factors are combined. And this combination is got from a cross tab calculation, and it gives us the values for different occurrences when each of these columns categories meet. So for the high impact, we have when there is a poor infrastructure status and there's an high technology limitation. And this means that Energix Enterprise would face a lot of issues when both events are occurring in their firm. This plot is also talking about the two factors. Now we are now looking at the frequency of the infrastructure status and the frequency of the technology limitation. And we can see um how high or how how adverse they can be based on the value counts we are looking at here. So we'll move on to the next clause, which is the frequency of the regulatory changes and the distribution of compliance costs. For the first plot by the left is just the count plot or the bar chart of the effect of Energix enterprise complying to new regulations within the enterprise, within the firm. So there is more impact when there are new regulations in the firm and they have to adapt to it, and it is more affecting their operations than when there are amendments to the existing regulations or when there is no change in these regulations. While the second subplot is showing the costs in terms of monetary costs that the firm will incur when they have to adhere to compliance measures, external laws that are governing the firm. So here we are looking at the histogram and the KDE of the monetary cost, the monetary implication of when they adhere to these laws, when they comply to these laws. For this plot, we're also looking at the compliance cost and the operational cost and where do their revenue stand. And this is a graph where it shows within the period of the case study, where their revenue stands and where and how much or how they spend on their costs. What is their cost within that time, and could their revenue cover for all the costs incurred within this case study? So, and that's the graph we are looking at here. So, the revenue is in between the operational cost and the compliance cost. So, in a way, they are trying to stay afloat. They might have reserve, they might have cash reserve, but based on their revenue alone, they might even go under of on their costs. They might not have any profits within this time frame, within this period of the case study. Here we are looking at the monthly aggregate of the production trend by the energy source they offer, the energy source they produce, which is fossil fuel and renewable energy sources. Yeah, within the time frame of the case study, we can see that fossil fuel has relative production trend than renewables. But for Energix Enterprise now, because they are a company that are based on renewables now, and very sure they have seen trends, they have seen the current trends in the energy market, and they see that renewable energy source is getting more trend and it is needed in our present day. So they are currently working on a lot of projects on renewable energy sources. But within the period of this case study, they were more on fossil fuel production. So based on the plots we've looked at and their insights, let's take it to a general ground now and see the insights in general. So for the first point that was derived from this project, Energix Enterprise have a dynamic energy landscape. And this means that from the energy production to the consumers' consumptions and the market demand patterns, there are there's a wide range of possibilities. There's a wide range of or there are a lot of units of energy sources that need to be met, that need to be produced in order for these factors to have some kind of correlation, because we can see from the first or the second plot that there is no correlation, there is no relationship between the energy production level and the demand. So this is one of the insight that was drawn from the one of the visualizations we were shown previously. Now we move on to the pricing volatility. Yes, even while Energix has not even met up with the demand, their price too also were also not correlated, was uncorrelated with the energy demand, and it poses potential challenges to their revenue and their sales. So the third one here is the infrastructure and the technology concern. Yes, this is one of the major factors that might be affecting their production level. So they also need to look into their they also need to look into their infrastructure and their technological capability for them to know where they are failing, where they need more hands on or more training or more equipment to produce more, because they are lacking behind or they are not meeting the demand based on the time frame of this case study. Then we have the regulatory and the financial implications. Yes, so they also have extra costs. Let me put it that way: extra costs with to the operational cost with the regulation changes, whether being internal or external, and they have to adhere to these regulations, and it's posing a profitability challenge to their sales and an operational challenge to their production. So the next one here is the emergence of renewables. Yes, now the Energix enterprise of today are now into um renewables, and based on the current trend, they are doing more projects on renewables. But within the time frame of this case study, they they were more into fossil fuel. So they, as at that time, they knew that they knew based on probably the research they took that renewable energy was coming into the market, and it's going to change the market dynamically. It's going to change the market. It's a game changer in the market. So they were looking into it, and now they are doing projects and gaining um good revenue from it. So so based on the analysis, the EDAs, the plots and everything, what as a data analyst, what is my recommendation for the resilience planning, the what should Energix enterprise do to prepare for disruptions? So one, they must have a balanced energy portfolio. And as we said, yes, they are into fossil fuel, they are into renewables. They should have a balanced energy portfolio by having a mix of renewable and non-renewable resources that can help to stabilize the energy supply and meet their demand more consistently. So that even if one energy source might be failing at a point in time, other energy sources will be able to support or be able to keep them afloat of their energy production levels. The second one here is they need a more dynamic pricing model. Yes, they need a more dynamic pricing model. The current model they are using based on this case study does not even correlate with the energy market demand. So they need a more dynamic pricing model, one that can be able to adjust to demand, that can be able to adjust to production cost and all other factors like the technology capability, their infrastructure, and so on. The third one here is the infrastructure revamp. Yes, they need to work on their infrastructure because they have within the case study they had a very high occurrence of poor infrastructure at every record, at every turn. They have an high occurrence of infrastructure. They have poor infrastructure all around, so they need to do renovation, modernizing infrastructures in order for them to be able to increase the efficiency of their production. So the fourth one here is the regulatory compliance fund and operational costs. Yes, they are spending more on their on the regulation. They are spending extra cost on on the regulations, the compliance they have to comply to, the laws they have to comply to. So there should be like a cash reserve or a dedicated fund to address these unforeseen expenses so that it won't encroach into the daily operational cost, but there will be a reserve so that whenever there is a need to attend to those regulations, there's a need to adhere to it, it won't affect their daily operations. Yeah, we have yes, we've talked about it, to embrace renewables, and in which the current energetics enterprise are currently doing. Then the cost management and revenue generation. Yes, they should have a team that's that is kept on their that is fixated on their cost management and their revenue generation, where it will be able to track whenever going to they are going to go under their cost, or whenever they are staying afloat, whenever they are gaining profits of of the new recommendations, of the new operations they are doing based on new infrastructure, new technological capability, and so on. Yeah, then stakeholders engagement. They can engage regulatory bodies to proactively stay ahead of potential regulatory changes, and this will help them to prepare better. And preparing better is also one of the points we've raised before about keeping dedicated funds, keeping dedicated reserves for such bodies or for such regulatory changes. And lastly, we have the market research or consumer insight. Yes, and that's what they are currently doing. They are employing analysts like me. They are indulging operational researchers to look into their daily operations and costs their cost management. How are they faring? So they need to be doing this periodically. Like this case study now that took 2 years, they can be doing it 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, even quarterly in a year, for them to just know, or to know based on recommendation, what they need to do, or what they need to take serious. So this project has given me the ability to look into the energy market with more resources, and to see the current um, the current challenges they face, and how, as a data analyst, can bring out insights and give recommendations to these insights. So Energix Enterprise, as an example, uh, can use these recommendations that has been laid out to help themselves to increase their production level, meet demand, and even have reserve both in units of energy sources and cash reserves also. And it will help them to sustain growth and profitability for the future energy market. So we have come to the end of this project. I hope you were inspired by the insights that were drawn from this project and the recommendations that were given as a data analyst to tackle the vulnerabilities of the subject of our case study, Energix Enterprise. Shout out to Amdari for giving me the platform to work on this project and giving me this project to add to my portfolio as a data analyst. Thank you. Have a lovely day.